Check. Are we working now? That's really odd. I think Loopback did something weird, but you guys can hear me now. Is that correct? Classic that this would happen right on the last stream for really no apparent reason whatsoever. But here we are. Let's try that again, shall we? Welcome to the stream, everyone. This is the last episode of this series, where we're running through one song a week from Colours in the Sun. I'm glad that I'm getting affirmation that people can hear me. That's good. Yay. I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes these apps can do something weird. But sounds like we're all good to go. Hopefully it stays that way for the whole stream. Alright, so yeah, this week we're going to be doing the last track on the record, Runaway. This song very nearly got us on live TV in Australia for Eurovision Australia Decides. Came very, very close. I think we were probably in the top 15 or so, and only the top 10 got to play at the Australia Decides show on SBS. But we got a little homage paid to the song live on TV, which was really, really cool. Like, it's pretty wild to see your own face on live television, even if it's for, 2/5 of a second. It's still pretty awesome. Is Jay having tech issues as well, is he? Gotta love it. And it's also just Ghost in the Machine type stuff that, like, I literally haven't touched OBS since last week. I've done nothing to any of the settings, but for some reason it just flaked out on me. But we're here now. And thank you all for joining. This has been a really, really cool little project, and if I'm honest, I've been really kind of off social media as of late. It's really kind of been bothering me a lot, but this has been a really kind of positive way to use socials, because I feel like this is the most real form of interaction you can get via social media. So of course this would be nothing if it weren't for you guys coming and hanging out each week. So thank you all so much. I know that there's like a whole bunch of you who are regulars. So yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. We'll probably keep doing something after this. I'll need to work out, what that looks like. Perhaps we can do some gaming, or perhaps we could do... I was even contemplating doing like a D&D geek out sort of design thing where we can maybe brainstorm some ideas for those who are into gaming. I don't know. We'll brainstorm some ideas. That's awesome, Diablo Macho. I'm glad you've enjoyed yourself. That's awesome. Alex is in the chat. Hey Alex. Pavel, how you doing, man? I'm glad that everyone can hear me now. So yeah. Of course, if you want to help the band out, you can always head to our Bandcamp, pick up a record. We just recently repressed and re-released Ghost Mile, so we've now got a tasty vinyl version, which is very, very cool, which you can pick up from our Bandcamp. It's very, very sweet. This was an album design that could have been the front cover of the original record, but we've decided to use it for the vinyl because it just has this sort of classic feel to it, which I really like. And on top of that, you get 3 bonus live tracks with the re-release as well. You get a bonus version of Ghost Mile, Meaning of I, and Lost, which is really cool. And of course, there's a whole bunch of shirts and all that good stuff as well. So if you want to head over to voyager.bandcamp.com, you can pick up some goodies there. All right. Let's have a look at the tune. Let's have a playthrough. This one has a bunch of cool stuff that Simone's doing, which I'll try my best to cover, but I probably won't end up playing it perfectly. But we'll go through the tab and see how it sounds. So, without further ado, let's check some levels. Considering we've been having technical difficulties, so tell me if you can hear the guitar. Cool. Let's hear the backing track.
You once or twice
sounding good? If so, we'll get stuck into it and see how I go. This one we haven't ever played live, so I'm still trying to work it out. I haven't touched any of the levels from last week, so I think I'll just leave it as is. I'm just glad that everyone can hear it. That's the most important thing. Alright, I'll turn myself off for a moment, and we will get stuck into Runaway.
Try it once or twice. In the distance is the noose around the vines. Oh, it's real, even if an ordeal. See us together.
Cool. So that's Runaway. Sorry about that complete fumble on the clean section. It's a bit of a difficult one trying to get those chords under the fingers. I haven't spent enough time practicing that, but hope you all enjoyed it nonetheless. Oh, cool. So let's have a little talk about the track. If I want to buy a CD and digital download as a gift, is this the way of doing this that gets the most money to the band's hands? Absolutely. Voyager.bandcamp.com is the place to go if you want to try and support us as closely as you can. Yeah, the Bandcamp is the way to go. So thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate that. Danny's keyboard solo in that tune is a lot of fun. It's been a while since he's whipped out a keyboard solo. And we figured this tune was like perfect for it. I tried to convince my band to cover this. Alas, it was vetoed. Oh, man. That's a shame. Maybe sometime later. Maybe with other people. That's my fave on the album. Awesome. Yeah, I really like that track. It feels like ending credits to me. It's kind of like, to me, Water Over the Bridge is sort of this big, epic, like, that's sort of the climax of the album. And then Runaway is sort of, yeah, like the running credits. It's that point of like reflection in the album. I really, really like it for that reason. It's just a fun tune, really fun tune. All right, let's go through parts. So we've got the verse at the beginning, which is basically just nothing, and then we have this rhythm part here that both me and Simone play in unison. Really straightforward stuff. Just some palm muted bits. Sounds like basically like that. That's your first half of the verse. Then we go into this steady sort of pedal. Then you open it up. Right? So you want to try and get that palm mute to kind of just slowly lift. And just pick a little harder as you're moving into the chorus. The chorus kind of has this shifting octave thing where we kind of go up the octave and down, and we've retrograded it, or actually inverted it, sorry. So we kind of do the octave to start with, and then we kind of jump. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but where the octave is placed in the rhythm kind of inverts at points. Right? So this part's quite a tricky bit to get tight. So all of those changes are done with slides. So you want to try and get those. So the trick with this part is to lift your fingers off the strings, but off the frets, but not off the strings. You kind of get that disco vibe. I'll move the cam down a little bit. That's a little better. So each time you play that octave, you want to coordinate playing the octave note, whilst lifting the pointer finger off the fret so that you don't get bleed. Otherwise, you get something like this, where both notes bleed out. So what you want is for each high note to have its own room to breathe. Otherwise, it starts to sound cluttered. So that's what we do the first time, and then the second time we do this little lick. We go and we haven't notated it, but this little note here, this 8th fret note, is a pinched harmonic, which is a lot of fun. So you want to try and find where that pinched harmonic is on your guitar. Thankfully, pinched harmonics on the G are quite easy to get. Try to get those high ones, get those squealy boys. So yeah, that is there it is. So I have to move a little further back to where I play normally in order to get that harmonic. And then it's just straight octaves from there. And we do that twice. And at the end of the chorus, we do this little... which, again, when notated, looks really awful, but if you just think of it as a chord position, which is actually a really nasty one. So we're playing 6th fret, 10th fret, 6th fret, and 8th fret, but you only have to hold that for a moment, so it's a bit of a nasty one. That is the shape. Yuck. And then what you do, in order to resolve that chord, has this really unresolved kind of feel to it. You're playing the 6, the natural 6 with the flat 7. So you get that nice clash. With the sus4 on top. And then you resolve that sus4 to a major. So we're basically playing like a dominant 7 sus4, add 6, which is weird. And then we're just resolving that to a B flat major. So that's a nice little passage. Less weird than it looks. Then we move into a Lydian shape that looks like this. And then we resolve the sharp 4, this note, I think we talked about this last week, to here. So that's just a sort of like an octave, like an A flat sharp 4, or A flat major sharp 4, to just a straight A flat major. This takes us into verse 2, which is a little different to verse 1. Simone is sort of continuing this like guitar, sort of this this rhythm guitar section, etc. God, okay. So I haven't played this lick. Difficult. So she's doing that at the end of the phrase. I don't know how to play that one in time, but we'll, or at least at tempo. Something like that. Oh, whoops. One of those ones that you want to try and play in a particular position. I would recommend starting with middle finger. Sliding there, which I didn't notate, sorry about that. 6, and then 5, sliding down to 1. That one you've got to do it a very particular way. It's a bit difficult. I don't think my fingers are long enough for that chord. It's about trying to get confident with the bar. Like you want that the pointer finger to be really comfortable with the bar. So bar here first, and then see if you can reach your pinky finger out to 10th fret. You'll get there. You'll get there. Thanks for joining, Zach. I'll see you later. Have a good one. How did you all come up with the idea for the video? I think that was actually a lot of Joe, our videographer. I think a lot of it was his idea. The idea that we're going to be playing sort of in an open space and we're waiting for a delivery, like a package delivery, to come. So the idea of the video is that it's supposed to cycle through like a whole day. with the delivery coming at night for the solo, and then us playing the last chorus sort of in the morning. But we actually shot it in the late afternoon, so it kind of we kind of did it in a complete inverse. We actually played the last chorus first. We got the last chorus recorded first on video, then we went back from there. Bit of an interesting one. That video clip was so brutal to film. Man, it makes Bright Star look like a piece of cake. Honestly, it was it was savage. Not a good time. It was fun, but it was tiring as all hell. I remember once we were packing down, I felt my body just go into full shutdown. You know, that feeling when you're so exhausted that your hands refuse to actually grip onto something. If you're trying to lift something, you feel like your muscles literally just can't lift anything anymore. That's what it felt like. It was really, really savage. But you know, the result was great, so we're stoked. And you know, I think we delivered something for Eurovision that was like a cut above the rest. You know, just saying. So ankle deep in toxic water. Yeah, it was gross. There's a behind the scenes video on our YouTube of the making of that video clip, and you'll get to you'll get to see all of the joys of trying to set up a video shoot in a space like that. Did standing in that massive puddle flood your shoes, or were you all wearing watertight shoes? Well, Alex cleverly brought Wellingtons, so the whole video clip he was actually standing in Wellingtons, which is really funny. So if you look carefully, you might be able to see that. I was just wearing like Trek shoes, so no, like my feet just became completely flooded, and the shoes are still sitting outside in my house because they're pretty much stuffed now. It was really gross. But yes, my immune system is now perfect, so I can stave off all kinds of illnesses as a result of doing that video shoot. It was that was heinous. And then we had to set up the lights that you see in that last scene. We had to set that up by putting a 240 volt power cable into a bucket on top of the drum riser, so that we, you know, wouldn't risk electrocuting ourselves. So it was a really awesome, you know, watertight OH&S nightmare, basically. It was horrendous. Really, really dangerous stuff. Probably wouldn't do it again. But the video clip is sweet, so we're happy. Alright, so what I'm doing in this verse 2 is I'm doing all the clean bits. I'll play through the chords. This time I'll play them properly. Just a major inversion, then a major 7, then a minor 7, and then that chord basically turns itself into just a major triad, and then I do that once again, major inversion, major 7, minor 7, major triad at the end. That part's really fun. I can remember in the studio, accidentally, in this second half, Matt was like, alright, well, let's see if we can find some chords for this second half, and I accidentally played the top note here in this chord. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's kind of cool. It's like sort of like a major 6. And then we go to a major inversion again, and then minor 7 to a major triad, and then we've kind of got this major, just a major bar chord, and then another major. Oops. So that's sort of like a major 9. So you got 1, 5, 9, and then the 3. And then, just because it's a nice little clash at the end. Which would be sharp 4 to 5 or sharp 11. So you're kind of getting a major 9, sharp 11, but sort of split over two expressions of the chord. So there it is here. So It's a really nasty one to play. You want to try and get the 9 and the 3 of the chord to ring together. And then you want the sharp 4 and the 5 to ring together. And with the delay, you can let all of that sort of flow together. So you can kind of hear the wholeness of the chord but split over the bar. You've done more for tourism than where the bloody hell are ya. I love the nature scenes of your videos. Cool. Yeah, I think it's a good representation of Australia. It's a beautiful country. I just wanted to say that you're easily one of my top favorite guitarists I look up to. I love these videos, man. Keep on being a great inspiration for all upcoming prog guitarists and bands. Everyone, this is Jared. Jared plays guitar in a sick band called Yomi Ship. They're like a prog jam band. I don't even know how to describe what they do. It's very, very fucking cool. The band's Yomi Ship. I'll type it in the chat. Go and suss that band because they are sick. And thank you so much, Jared. I appreciate it. You're an inspiration to me as well, man. I love watching you play. It's unreal. The stuff you come up with is so cool and creative and different. Like, I would never conceive the ideas that you conceive. It's really, really cool to watch. So hopefully we will play some gigs again soon, man, once all this stuff is over and done with. But yeah, go sus Yomi Ship. Apparently this is the name of a Yu-Gi-Oh card. I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh myself, but there we go. Caught myself numerous times increasing pace during running activity when the chorus kicks in. Good. That's what we want. We want to, encourage you to work harder and harder, better, faster, stronger, as they say. Then we jump into another chorus. Nothing really changes in that second chorus. It's all literally exactly the same as the first one. Then under Danny's solo, we do this cool little bendy groove thing. That sounds a little like... etc. That's basically it. It's a really fun little bendy groove. Oh, there's one thing that I forgot though. Yes, this. Sorry, I actually didn't even play this when we when I ran the song. I completely forgot that we do this. So the second time around, we go. You can do this as a hybrid pick as well, which is kind of cool. So it goes up sort of like a whole tone thing. Because we play around with Lydian quite a bit, this is a good example of where we do that. So if you treat the A flat as your root note, you actually get 4 whole steps in a row. Like this. We used Lydian a ton because it sounds sick. But yeah, so what we do is once we get to the A flat, then you got to try and get your way all the way back to first fret really quickly. So oh, nasty stuff. Lydian is king. I agree. Lydian is sick. There's just something about that sound, man. It's just a wicked sound. Love it. Love the way it resolves in 2 different directions equally. It's really nice. So then we do an octave to lead us into the chorus. Now, what Temp did, our mixing genius, he actually took both the first half and the second half of the chorus and mashed them together. So you'll actually hear both the octaves that we do in the second half of the chorus, as well as the single note thing. etc. So you'll hear both playing over the top of each other, so it creates this really big, epic sound. Yeah. And we play the chorus out, and then it's Danny's little bit right at the very end, which is actually this little bit right here, where I play nothing. That is my favorite part of the whole record. Love it. When I heard that vocal hook at the end, I was like, oh, yes. It feels complete. It feels finished, which is awesome. Yeah, I think it's one of the best hooks that Danny's ever written, actually. It's awesome. Really, really cool. We'll probably be writing more stuff akin to this tune, because there's something about the vibe of this song that we really like, and it seems like everyone else seems to really enjoy it too, which is awesome. Cool. I'm glad that everyone's queuing up Yomi Ship on the old Spotify. Band is sick. They're better live. That's the other thing. The music is awesome, but it's a whole different experience when you see it live. Cool. Holy crap. That was like 35 minutes. We absolutely powered through that. I guess like from a guitar perspective, the song's relatively straightforward. There's really only like 3 parts. It's really just like a pop tune, basically. It's like a pop prog track with a massive guitar solo in the middle of it. So there's not really a lot of intricacies going on with the guitars. I really like the verse 2. I'm really, really happy with how that sounds, because it's sort of got this drive to it, but it's also mellowed out by the clean guitar that kicks in as well. So I like the way those 2 parts play off of each other. I can never play the track just once. I never feel I've heard enough of it after one play. That's awesome. It's an addictive one. I really like it. I really liked I liked performing the song for the video clip. It was good fun, and it was cool being out in that environment as well, because it was a really beautiful day actually. Yeah. I'm still hoping that you lot come back to the UK so I can see you live. Crud, we will be back, definitely. We've been to the UK every year for the last 4 years, I think, and we're loving it over there, man. It's so much fun. It's just a wicked place to play, and I think actually London has become one of my favorite places in the world to play. The vibe is always just so high energy. Dan Tompkins in the chat. How you going, mate? You're right. That's why Gremlins were thrown in this week. What? I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Where am I streaming from? My house? if that's what you're asking. I'm not sure what you're asking. If you're asking about software, then I'm using OBS, but I don't know. Just from little old Perth. But it's actually, Perth is probably one of the best places to be in the world at the moment with all this pandemic nonsense going on. The things that shall not be named. So, yeah, it's actually, we're doing okay over here, thankfully. I hear Glasgow is a fantastic place to play. Have we played Glasgow? We've played Glasgow twice. We played Glasgow twice. Yeah, sorry, Dad. I didn't know what you meant. Yeah, we played Glasgow twice over the years. The difficulty is that is my microphone sounding okay? I'm detecting a low level. Oh no, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we don't really have much of a following in Scotland. I mean, we've only been there a few times, and it can be pretty difficult to build a fan base, and sadly, you know, it's hard for us to justify affording to travel there, because it is quite costly. Like, we have to, you know, land in the UK, land in London, and kind of make our way north. So it can be a little difficult to get ourselves up there, but we'll try our best. Hopefully, when all this crap is over and done with, we can get back to actually doing what we like doing. I'll be keeping an eye on the venues next time you guys have a tour. Hope to find one closer to Newcastle. Is this Newcastle? Oh, this would be Newcastle in the UK. Yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll keep that in mind, man. It's hard to know where to play. We don't really necessarily know exactly where our fan base is outside of like, you know, the big cities. So like how does, like, out of curiosity, Anya, how does a gig in Edinburgh go, or a gig in Glasgow go generally? Are they like pretty well attended for the most part? Luke, how you doing, man? Voyager plus Tesseract. Everyone's asking for this, Dan. Everyone wants us to gig together. I mean, it is, to me, completely crazy that we haven't yet, but that's, I guess the stars have not yet aligned. Anthony, how you doing, dude? How are ya? It's been a little while. Full resolution WAV files are available on Bandcamp, so there's no reason to do anything special to avoid compressed digital copies. Yeah, you can get all versions from Bandcamp, which is awesome. They offer everything. So you can get the best, most uncompressed files imaginable. And you can also just pick up a bunch of cool stuff from us. There's all kinds of goodies. You've got the Colors in the Sun vinyl, which comes with a personally signed slip insert. There's all kinds of goodies up here. New shirts. We've released a few new shirts to celebrate the vinyl release of Ghost Mile, all designed by our own wonderful Ashley Ducourt. I'm quite partial to this one, actually. I think the one of Danny and Simone is really cool. It's like just a perfect color set for the album, and just the photo itself is so sick. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm your audio while you have late dinner. Maybe is my voice good enough? I'm glad you're enjoying the streams, Luke. It's been a lot of fun. I was saying earlier that I've been pretty disillusioned by social media as of late. I've been finding it incredibly tiring to consider all of the stuff that you have to do with social media these days. I've been using the analogy of, like, you know, people say that social media is a tool, right? It is, but it works in a way that forces you to have to keep using it all the time, lest you lose your audience and your reach. So like it feels like you're obliged to, even if you don't have content, post something every single day. And I hate that. I absolutely hate it. What it does is it forces you to just spam people with stuff that is not well considered or well thought out. You're just posting whatever just to maintain yourself in this like constant stream of just stuff, pointless stuff. You know, I would liken it to, if you have a hammer, and if you don't use this hammer every day, then the head of the hammer just starts to turn to jelly. And so what you have to do is you have to take out your hammer every day and just mindlessly fucking nail a few nails into a block of wood, and then put the hammer away again. You know, it's like, what use is that? The content that we want to post is stuff that wants to be of a high caliber, high quality. I don't want to post just drivel, you know. But the way that the algorithms work these days is like, you just have to post constantly in order to keep everything running, you know, in order to keep your organic reach operating, all this stuff. And it's just, I loathe it, man. I absolutely hate it. I just want it to be chronological. I just want my socials to be chronological. Just show me things as they're happening, and perhaps, you know, give an option to see things that are trending. Give people the option to view things in either way. You know, I just don't know. I'm very frustrated with the way it all works these days, and it feels like a kind of gatekeeping, because all of the stuff that operates in the background is stuff that you have to actually do personal research on. Like there are people whose job it is to understand how the Facebook algorithm works. I mean, what a joke. It's ridiculous. I love it because I get to do this. I love it because when I post this, people actually see it, which is awesome. I just wish that was the case for everything that we post. But some things just get lost in the sea of nonsense that is the Facebook wall. Your voice goes great with my rosemary lamb frozen dinner. +1 on the social media, man. I come on here so rarely now, partly because of the super high chance of someone taking exception to something you say, almost regardless of intent. Yeah, I mean, that's also another thing that tends to happen, is people are just yelling at each other these days. I like to have in-depth and nuanced conversation. I think that there's so much interesting detail in so many things that we talk about that doesn't really get explored, because we're too busy yelling at each other. And it's just like, I would rather everyone just pull it down a peg and just like try to see the good in what people are saying, because a lot of the time there is a lot of value in what people are actually saying. But yeah, there are great things about social media, but there are also a lot of things that are really, really damaging and for lack of a better term, toxic about it too. I feel like it's you get pressured into using it a lot of the time, and this is why I really hate the fact that reach is improved when you post more. I think that is a really silly way of creating a social media platform, but it's obvious why they've programmed it that way. It's so that they can keep you there, it's so they can keep you posting and keep you using the platform. So it's all a manipulation of some kind, which I can't get behind. It just feels like everyone's being manipulated in some way. It's not cool. I just love the fact that we as fans can engage with you guys like this. I think the kind of community that comes around a band like you guys will happily wait for quality and don't care for having stuff constantly shoved in our faces. I don't usually care for streams, but this, yeah, that's true, man. And I think that's why like we really appreciate our fan base, because you guys are in it for quality. Like we don't want to spam you with stuff. We don't want to force you to witness every little crappy post that we feel obliged to make. We don't want to do that. We want to post things that actually that we want you to engage with. We want to post stuff that's interesting to our fans. We don't want to just post nonsense. And I feel like a lot of social media is just nonsense. It's just like, buy this shirt. Everything is advertising, So I wasn't expecting to go on a rant about this tonight, but here we are. Ironically, on social media. Yeah, the irony is not lost on me. Yeah, when you're just a person using social media, it's great. Like having the Messenger. Messenger is a brilliant app. I like the fact that there's very few ways to make chat applications pernicious. They're there. They need to operate as efficiently as possible for them to be used at all. So there's not a lot of ways to kind of manipulate people into using it more. The only problem is the fact that every single messenger that we use, at least in Australia, the popular chat options are all owned by Facebook, which is really not cool. It's an antisocial form of communication. We should not say the things face to face that we would in written form. We're losing our connection, our human common ground. I agree, man. I agree. I think you should only say the things that you would be willing to say to someone in person. I understand that obviously there is a... how can I put it? You'll have more of a tendency to say something that potentially could upset someone, but for in good faith. Like, you're not saying it to insult them, but you're more willing to say something that could potentially be construed as insulting in an online conversation. I think that if the point you're trying to make has merit and value in some way, then you should risk it. But these days I'm not really talking much online. I prefer to just have conversation with people one-on-one anyway. I think it's just a better way of doing it. You get more out of it, and it feels like you're actually bonding with the person you're communicating with a little more. The only streams I jump on for are honestly Voyager, because I know it's going to be a wholesome fun time. Yeah, it's wholesome until you get me onto a social media rant. Then it just becomes me pissing and moaning about how much I don't like the way things work. Is there a Voyager Discord? If not, it might be worth looking into. That is a good idea, Brent, actually. I'm a bit of a noob with Discord. I don't use it all that much. I use it when I play D&D, when I play D&D online. and when I play some video games, but I've never actually operated like a group Discord before. But we might look into it. Maybe just let us know if that's something that you guys would get around, because if it is, then we'll bloody do it. You know, like if it's something that people are into, I'll do some research and maybe we can set something up. People feel like they can hide behind anonymity. Rule of mine is exactly this: never say anything here that I wouldn't say to their face. Yeah, I think that's a good way to live generally, man. I agree with that. On that note, don't shy away from saying what you feel if you feel what you're going to say has value as well. You know, like, and if you don't feel comfortable posting it online, that's fine. Have a conversation with a friend, or have a conversation with someone who who understands you, you know, and understands that you're saying things in good faith. And even if they don't agree with you, they'll understand that you're not saying it to be an arsehole. You're saying it because you feel like there's some validity in what you're saying. You know what I mean? Scott ranting about keyboard warriors while in a band fronted by a guitar warrior. Love it. Discord is outstanding as well. Good call on that. Okay, well maybe we'll look into a Discord. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't really know like what it's like. Are any of you guys part of Discord groups for bands or other things? What kind of stuff goes on in there? Is it just basically chats, or is there like, you know, other stuff? Like, do people join in on video games, or like what's the vibe? What do people do in Discord? Let me know. I'm a noob. And on that note, maybe suggest some ideas for us to stream something different. We might not start next week, but you know, maybe we can set up something. That people would be into. So maybe list some suggestions. It's a very community-focused chat service. Okay. So yeah, I imagine it's basically just like all of the closest fans that want to chat with the band or members of the band and chat with each other about anything. I imagine. Something like that. I guess it's kind of similar to the Facebook group we have, but maybe it feels a little bit more exclusive. I'm not sure. Yeah, right. Changes from community to community, but most have a general chat. Yeah, so it's basically just like everyone hanging out in Discord talking nonsense. Normal person plus anonymity plus audience equals total fuckwad. I can get behind that. I use it for games and also some friendship groups. We can share screens, etc. Yeah, cool. There needs to be a... also has open channels for games and extra special fan content, for example. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I mean, like, I'm not sure if anyone else in the band games all that much these days, apart from myself. I'm playing a lot of Magic Arena. They've just released Arena for Mac, and it is the most unstable piece of trash I've ever had the displeasure of playing, sadly. I love Magic. I love the game. I just wish that the Arena would work better, but it doesn't. But maybe things will change. There needs to be a value placed on digital silence. So much internet noise these days. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Smart move. I was having a conversation with a friend about this the other day. Imagine that your like the way that people post on Facebook was similar to the way that they had conversations in person. The idea with it is that you're basically taking up people's attention, and by constantly making posts and commenting and all of this stuff, you're taking up more and more real estate. Imagine doing this with like a building, you know, like the thing about the real world is that you have physical space, which is finite, and that means you have to use that space efficiently. You have limitations. There are no limitations for a Facebook wall. You can literally post just nonsense every minute of every day if you really wanted to. So it's noisier because there's no limitation of space. It's just people can just talk forever if they want to and take up all of this internet space and create all of this noise as a result. This sort of thing can't happen in the real world. If someone was like this in the real world, we wouldn't engage with them at all. We would find them utterly annoying. So yeah, it's just the fact that you can't draw parallels between social media and the real world that makes social media seem alien, and it doesn't seem to make much sense when you actually think about the application of it in the real world. I wouldn't mind a stream wherein each week we get each member play their parts of a song culminating in a full band session. That'd be cool. That'd be very, very hard. We would all need to be in the same room, I believe, and with like multiple mic setups and everything like that. It would be really time intensive. I think that's part of the reason why I've just jumped in and started streaming on my own, because it's much easier to do a one man stream than a five person stream. MTG, Magic the Gathering, yeah. So I've been playing a whole bunch of Magic. I've been playing the game for a really long time. I started playing in like 2003, 4 maybe. A friend of mine introduced me to the game, and then I got into it more seriously around 2007 when Lorwyn came out. Could have a Discord channel for music recommendations. Cool, yeah, that's a good idea. Also, I watched his stream after Wednesday night, Modern MTG. Nice. It's good to see that there are people here who play Magic as well. That's sweet. Thanks again for these streams. I've been off work since March 24 and I go back to work next week. Wow, that's a long time to be off work, dude. What do you do for a living? I'm glad that you've got back into work, because yeah, it can be a real stressful time not having much of an idea as to how your future looks when, there's no work, no money coming in. Talking about the real world, man, you need to watch an anime called Serial Experiments Lane. Oh yeah, I've watched that. I've watched that multiple times. Serial Experiments Lane is like, I think it was 95 when that came out, and it's just absolutely nailed everything about social media. And this is before social media was even considered as a concept. It is wild how accurate Serial Experiments Lane is to the way the internet works now. It was 25 years earlier. It started discussing these issues 25 years prior, which is crazy. Yeah, it's this whole, like, if you haven't watched Serial Experiments Lane, I highly recommend it. It's a really, really good anime. I'm not a weeb. Like, I'm not into all anime. I'm only into like specific ones. Like, for me, Neon Genesis, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Serial Experiments Lane, Ghost in the Shell, like those ones are all fantastic, but I don't really get into the drama-y stuff. But Serial Experiments Lane is insanely good, and yeah, it's like incredible how well it predicts what the internet would become. It would be amazing if you posted a lick of the week of all the songs you love throughout your life. That's a cool idea. I'd be into that, definitely. Speaking of streaming, it was your guitar streams that got me into streaming my own playing. I lack motivation big time with playing guitar, and I genuinely get a kick out of knowing what someone even could be watching. Any and all comments are a big deal and keep me stumbling along. Worth calling out how much some of us get out of the stuff you stream. Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's however you get your motivations, dude. I think it's cool. Like, I think having people watch what you do, even if it's like you're trying to learn something live on stream, I find that kind of interesting. Like, I think it's the guitarist from Archspire. I think his stream, he does a whole like learning with type things, where so someone will tell him to learn something and he'll learn it on stream and try to play it, which I think is a sick idea. I think it's really cool to watch professionals learn rather than watching students learn. The way that a professional learns something is a good learning experience unto itself, because you get to see their work process, you get to see their workflow, and I think that that's really cool. It's sort of like watching a mix rundown, with like high-end studio engineers. Watching them mix something live is a really sick idea. But we don't really see this with musicians. We don't see professionals live on stream learning something brand new. That kind of process would be really cool. So yeah, his name is Dean. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's such a sick idea, because as a teacher myself, the thing that I like to hammer on about is not necessarily what you learn, but how you learn, because there are good methods to learning and there are bad methods to learning, and you can increase your effectiveness in practice and efficiency in practice by using better methods, not necessarily choosing different content, if you know what I mean. So, you know, one thing I like to hammer on about is, it's a simple saying, but it's basically practice the things you're not good at, or practice the things you can't do. It's amazing if you analyze your own practice, how often you pick up your instrument and start playing things that you can already play. It's like, that's cool. Like, that's good. Obviously pick up the instrument because you enjoy it. But if you're looking to improve, you should basically do none of that playing. You should do zero. Only spend the time that you have getting better at things that you know that you need to work on. It sounds like such a no-brainer, but if I'm guilty of it too. Once you start looking at your own practice, you go, man, I spend a lot of time playing shit I already know. But you can just cut that out of your routine and suddenly you've got, 20, 30 minutes more of practice available to you to use effectively. As a new guitarist, I'd love to see how someone like you learn something. Yeah, totally. I think it's a really cool way to get better with your routine. Like, I don't have a routine. I'm a classic ADD kid that loses his attention to things very easily. I don't like the idea of I don't actually like the idea of routine. What I like the idea of is having an idea of what I want to achieve and then finding the best way to achieve it. That's what I'm into. I'm into efficient practice. I'm not into, doing 8 hours. I'm not into all of that stuff. It feels a little like, clocking in and clocking out of a job where you don't really care about the job. You just clock your hours and stop. If you go into a practice session with a clear idea as to what you want to achieve before even picking up the instrument, then I can guarantee you're going to get more done. It doesn't matter the amount of time. When you guys are interstate or abroad, how do you guys support each other and keep the positive vibes going? I think we just joke a lot. We take the piss out of each other and just joke a ton. We try not to take ourselves too seriously. And we're actually such good friends. Like the other members of Voyager are some of my best friends. I can't imagine ever being in a band with people I don't like. The idea of that sounds so torturous and horrible that I would rather quit music than do it. Like, imagine being in Pink Floyd. Like, imagine that relationship. That'd be horrible. Imagine being in a tour bus with them for 30 days. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So the fact that we really like each other really helps. But I mean, some of the things that you can do is just to be aware of mood. If someone's in a shit mood, you just give them space. It's really that simple. Give them space. Be kind. Be as helpful as you can be. Even if you feel like people aren't necessarily pulling their weight, unless it's getting to the point where you're starting to be resentful. Just try to be as helpful as you can. I think these are all really good things to do. 99.79% of my guitar playing is the same 10 songs I know. Hard habit to get out of. I've been trying to just noodle lately when I grab a guitar. Yeah, if you're just trying to expand on your own ideas, man, then noodling is probably a better use of your time than playing the songs that you know. Again, like, this is the thing though. It depends on why you're picking up the instrument. If you're picking up the instrument just to have some fun, I mean, sick, do what you want. If you're looking to pick up the guitar to actively get better at the instrument, spend exactly 0 time practicing those songs. Find a tune that seems really difficult to you and just slowly pull it apart and work on it. Work on one bit at a time each day and try to perfect it. That's what I tend to do. Like, I'm trying to learn Under a Glass Moon, and that solo is just like the dumbest thing on earth. Like, I'm not even close to being able to execute it properly. But just chipping away at it has been really rewarding. So If I sent you some magic cards, brought them to a gig when you tour next, would you sign them? Yeah, dude, of course. Gladly. I will gladly sign your magic cards. Perhaps we can jam a couple games as well. What kind of format are you playing? Are you playing modern or standard, or do you just kind of just jam whatever? As a budding engineer, in your opinion, is there any place left in the industry for smaller project studios? I've done a few recordings here and there, but it's super tough to get a foothold in a meaningful way. If you're not producing your own music first, might be a bit hard. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not really tapped into that to that industry all that much. You can talk to Matthew Templeman. Maybe send him an email. Maybe he'll get back to you. He's our mix engineer. We've been working with him for years. He's an old friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for 16 years. God, that's scary to say out loud. Holy crap, that's half my life. Jesus. Yeah, he might have a better idea. I think it's just a hard industry to get into generally and make a name for yourself. I think it's incredibly difficult. Probably harder than it is to be a band starting out now, you know? So I honestly, I don't know. All I can say is that if you keep producing really high caliber content all the time and keep networking and meeting new people, you're going to increase your chances at the very least. You know, it might not be a guarantee of success, but at the very least, you know that you're basically increasing your luck to make it work. Modern Infect and Modern Elves are my jam. Sick. Oh, let's jam some modern. I play Mono Red Prowess at the moment. We'll jam some games if we can catch up at some point. Can you sign my Colors vinyl record? Yeah, if we're at gigs and stuff, absolutely. We have absolutely no qualms with signing stuff. All you have to do is find us at the end of a show and we'll happily sign whatever you want us to sign. I've been thinking of getting into music seriously for years, but could never afford equipment. Now that I have the money, I'm going to start with piano. The one thing that did instill doubt in me was my age, as I'm nearly 30. Man, it's never too young to start. I know that is such a cliche, but it is so true. The good thing about starting as an adult is that you have a clear idea as to what you want to achieve. As a kid, you know, typically kids just get pushed into doing it by their parents, which is great. Like, you know, as parents, you should try and show your kids as much cool stuff as possible. But as a child, you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want from this, really. At least not until you're a teenager or something. So yeah, as a 30-year-old, you know exactly what you want to do, what you want to learn, what music inspires you. And you can bypass a lot of the really slow learning because you're also dexterous with your hands. Like, you've been using your hands for 25 plus years properly. As a kid, you've only been using them for, 7, if not less. So the fact that you have all of these life skills is going to make learning, actually, if anything, quicker. You're going to be able to get past all of the boring stuff a lot quicker. And the great thing about piano is that the learning curve is very, very flat. You can start playing melodies and learning stuff very quickly on the piano. Guitar actually has a very, very steep learning curve. So your guitar playing will likely still sound bad after the first year of playing. You'll likely not have a lot of repertoire under the fingers. There's a lot of stuff that takes longer to play. Like one thing I like to mention is the fact that when you play a piano, you can use exactly one finger to produce a note. When you play guitar, you have to use both hands and you have to place them on the correct string. You have to press that string down and then you have to strike the correct string with your other hand. The function of just playing a single note on guitar is like tenfold harder than it is to produce a single note on a piano. And this matters. This matters in terms of how long it takes to learn something. So I think what happens is a lot of people see professional guitar players or professional piano players and then expect that both instruments are as difficult as each other. And that's just flat out not true. The guitar is much harder to start on, but then becomes easier as a professional, I would argue, than piano. Piano starts off very simple, but to master it it's insane. You've got coordination in left and right hand. You can play 10 notes at a time. You can do rhythmic syncopation and polyrhythms and all sorts of stuff like that. So there's more that you can achieve on a piano at the highest level than there is on a guitar, I would argue. Every instrument has their limitations, obviously. I'm 29 and I only picked up a guitar 2 months ago. It's never too late. I agree, Max. I think you can pick it up at any point. I have a student who, I haven't asked his age, admittedly, but he's probably in his late 60s, mid to late 60s, and he's only just started learning bass off from me, which is awesome. And he's loving it. He's doing a great job, and he wants to understand music as a language, because he was classically trained and he knew how to play piano. But now we're kind of going over contemporary music and jazz music and all of this sort of stuff. And he's doing really well, This is like a guy who's twice your age, so it's honestly never too late to start. And it's about the joy of learning too. If you've got to enjoy the process enough to want to keep going as well. When did I join Voyager? I feel like I first saw you in Statues 8 million years ago, but the last 10 years have become a blur. Yeah, Statues was a band for 10 years, and I was asked to join, or asked to audition for Voyager in November of 2010, and my first gig with Voyager was I think it was February 11 or something, in 2011. So it's been 9 years, basically. Do I do video remote lessons? Yeah, I do. I don't do them that often, but because of all this pandemic nonsense, I had to do a lot of my lessons for the schools that I work at online. So I've got a system set up for it. If anyone wants to take lessons from me, hit me up, because it's literally what I do for a job. So you're welcome, Crud, man. I hope you pick up the instrument and start smashing it out. Piano is an awesome instrument. I think it's like one of the best instruments ever invented, actually. It's just a wicked, versatile, dynamic instrument. I've ordered from Season of Mist. If I order from Bandcamp, items will be shipped from Australia. Some items will be shipped from the US or Europe. Some items are shipped from Australia. I don't know about what the infrastructure looks like from a customer point of view, so I'm not entirely sure where stuff is being shipped, whether it tells you whether it's being shipped shipped from Australia or shipped from the US. I honestly don't know. But some items we ship. For example, maybe I'll just run through the ones that I know that I ship, because I deal with all the merch as well. I ship all of the CDs, so all the CD orders I ship. I think apart from Colours in the Sun, I think the Colours in the Sun CD is still being shipped from Season of Mist, because we both have ownership of the Bandcamp. So apart from Colours, I get all of the other CD orders. The orange vinyl specifically, I ship. I also ship the Silence is the Art, the Lady's Vest, the tab book, which is just a digital anyway, so that's just an email. Yeah, they're the only ones I ship, actually. So it's all the CDs besides Colours, the Science is the Art shirts, and the vests, and the orange vinyls. Yeah, that's all that I have in stock at the moment. Everything else is shipped by Season of Mist. Man, we're old. Yeah, dude. When Statues called it quits, I reflected on the fact that was 10 years of my life. That was a third of my life that I spent in that band. It's actually pretty crazy to think about. I highly recommend watching the vid where I introduce myself as the new guy. Oh man, that is old. Oh boy. So old. Music lessons, virtually likely when my partner gets work again, we're on. Awesome. Yeah, dude, hit me up. Be more than happy. More than happy. How do I contact you for lessons? I'm very interested. Hit me up via the Facebook. Just send a message to the Voyager Facebook, and we'll get back to you, or I'll get back to you specifically if you ask for me. Oh, that video is embarrassing. I was like 21 at that point, I think. Crazy. Okay, well, we might call it a night, everyone. But thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey of Colors in the Sun. We've looked at every single track. Every track is online on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Facebook as well. So if you want to go back and rewatch any of the episodes, they're all on our socials, which are found in the description on the stream. Of course, if you want to support Voyager, please head to voyager.bandcamp.com and pick up whatever takes your fancy. If you want to learn some of the songs that we've gone over, we've got an awesome guitar book that we have made, which I've been using the whole time. So what you're seeing on screen is the exact tab book that you'll be getting, and it was all transcribed by myself and Simone. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff up there. If you want to support us, this is the best way to do it because the money comes straight to us. So again, thank you guys in advance for supporting us and buying our merch, because this is kind of how we make things work at our end. So we honestly really appreciate it, and I really appreciate the fact that the streams have been so successful as well. The fact that there's been like a regular crew pretty much every single week that I've done this is absolutely unreal. So yeah, honestly, thank you all so very much. We really appreciate it. Yes, we'll be seeing you in Canberra next year. Yes, we haven't done a Canberra gig in a long time, so we're very keen to get back to Canberra to play for you. We're just chomping at the bit to play some gigs, so hopefully we'll be able to get back to that sooner rather than later. Rep my Voyager merch weekly. Keen for more of these in the future. Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll be in touch in regards to lessons, and of course we'll also try and work out what to do for a future stream. I know that that Ash is really keen to jump on and do some drum run-throughs of all of the songs as well, so you'll be able to hang out with him and talk nonsense with Ash instead of myself. He's a great guy and obviously an awesome drummer, so once he's got his OBS all set up and everything, hopefully his stream will be just as fun. But for now, take care, be safe out there, and we'll catch up really soon. And I'll be back for a stream at some point in the future. We'll try and think of something fun to do for the next lot of streams. So take care, everyone. Thank you so much.